Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host Chump Change, just live and recorded. We do this every single day, go over crypto news from the day before with all you guys. I would normally do this by myself for anybody that might be new here, but yeah, the SEC rug pulled us all. At least Bitcoin's holding over 45, so that's a good thing, right? We'll get into this in just a second, but let's see who's in the chat and then we'll go from there. Mr. Chris Hanley, good morning. First one here. Appreciate you, buddy. We have Dumpster Fire all set. Oval Bore. Charles Harris, good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Daniel Ring, good morning. Good morning. Tim I Am Crypto, Trade Like Snipe. Let's see who else. Steven Cicero, my man. Let's see, what are you guys saying in the chat? Everybody is it's pretty much a common consensus that it seems like it's a inside job to some extent, at least in my opinion. It's kind of crazy. Let's see, all set, good to see you, buddy. Anybody I may have missed, I have Overboard Tech here, Scott Sheffield, Marcus, good to see you, Michael, man. All right, let's get into this. Let's see what the market's looking like today, and then we'll dive into it. We have Bitcoin 45,000, honestly still holding pretty well, even though we had some fake BS news. We have Ethereum at 2382, not too bad. Dogecoin under 8 cents. Lido's still up. Oh, didn't mean to click on that. It is at $3.81, up 18%. Let's see what else we got. XRP 55 cents. Solana's down to 94 bucks. We have ETC over 20. Nice, that's good. That's a good thing. Kaspa's at 11 cents, not too bad. Honestly, market's really looking pretty good, to be honest. It's really not affected too much. What in the hell is happening with crypto bubbles? All right, let's open up the week, I guess. Get these things all situated. All right, Hex looks like it's the biggest earner on the day as of right now. 37%. Interesting. It's ranked 56. 1 cent. It's at 1 cent. I've heard this is a scam coin though. I'm not sure. I'm not into Hex, to be honest. I don't even know what eHex is. eHex ranked 88, up 16 ranks. Interesting. It's under a penny, but it is up 27% today. Let's see. The goat is here. Oh, goat's here. No, he's not. I don't see him. Liar. Don't lie to me. I don't see him. I don't see him. If you guys have any questions, please just add me in the chat. Oh, he is here. There he is.
It's a fucking goat.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Geek of All Trades. Appreciate you, buddy. All right. Everything else, nothing really sticks out at me. Bonk, 11.5% on the day. What's this? Synthetics, it's up 9.4%. I really want to get into the meat and potatoes of this stream, to be honest. Let's jump over to Fear and Greed Index. We have 73. We were at extreme greed yesterday. You guys saw the SEC get really greedy and post some shit yesterday, which wasn't true, just to get some gains, quick gains. Gensler gains, we're gonna call them. All right, let's check out the what's it called, top 10 coins over here on CoinGecko by Coin Market Cap. I'm all over the place this morning, I apologize. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, XRP, USDC, Lido, Stakes, Ether, Cardano, and Avalanche. Dogecoin is in 11th still. Let's scroll down a bit. Litecoin still in 21st. We have Bitcoin Cash in 22nd. Let's see, ETC's moving up ranks, 32. We have Monero at 33, and Kaspa is in 37th place. Not too bad. All right, not bad at all. Let's jump over to the crypto mining segment of stuff, and then we'll jump into this Gensler BS. All right, let's look at first hash rate. I'm sorry, mine the ASIC, not hashrate.no. Mine the ASIC over here. Again, I like the time capsule. Let's just see what these miners were making per day. We have the WindMiner K9 making $91.49 per day, which is, it's a little rough, but at the same time is what it is. Expected it to it's kind of floating here, which is kind of nice. It's not like I would expect it to have been $70 or so by now. Let's see. No, Geek of All Trades, we're not talking about that. Why? What is that pumping? Please tell me that's not pumping. That's not pumping. You're killing me. You are such a troll, you know that? All right, we have the KS3 8 terahashes looking like we're making 69 bucks a day. We have the KS3M 49.75.
Bruh.
Damn, getting under the $50 mark for the KS3M. That's sad. We have the KS2 making 16.42 a day. Woo. Terrible. KS1 is making $8.21 a day. Woo. Terrible. We got, let's see, the KS0, where are we at? Oh man, it's way down here on the ranks now. 52. 200 gigahash unit making $1.67 a day. Again, I have 8 of these units next to me, and that's kind of sad. Woo. I hope I get my money back at some point. Kaspa needs to do something great. KS0, the original 100 gigahash model, is only making 80 cents a day. Crazy. Let's see. I just wanted to know, Gensler is going to help the kitties. I don't know. Maybe Crypto Craig. Who knows? Let's see. We have the let's see. I don't even, why is the 9050 never here? Oh, it's right here. There we go. L7 9050. This, my unit should be showing up at Terra Hosting today. Super excited about that, to get this thing plugged in finally and running, making $5.25 a day. Again, this is a 10 cents kilowatt hour, so it's pretty on par with what Mr. Hot Crypto Mining over at Terra Hosting is actually running them at. I think it's like 10.5 cents if I'm not mistaken. All right, let's check out GPUs real quick, and then we'll get into this the news. RTX 4090 Lithium looks like it is on the top of the charts. Let me just refresh this real quick just to make sure. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Hyper and Lithium still on the top of the charts. XNA on some for the AMD. Looks like it's the highest revenue. I don't understand this highest profit, highest revenue. Would it be? Shouldn't it be like highest yield? I don't fully understand. I think it's the same thing. I don't get it. You guys, please correct me if I'm wrong. Did someone say GPUs? Heavy breathing. Wartech loves GPUs. XNA looks like it's at the top of the charts with Lithium and Hypera. Interesting. Oh, look, Carlson made it for the 3070 Ti. Look at that. What's Carlson's price at? Let's look real quick before we move on. KLS. Let's see what we're looking like today. Nope, under 3 cents, down 1.4%. Let's check out Pyron. Oh, actually, you know what? Pyron, the unMineable team actually posted the Pyron hash algorithm on their site yesterday. They didn't announce it, but I saw it when I was just checking my one of my Kaspa auto converting pages. It said Pyron hash. I was like, wait a minute, that wasn't there. But they should be announcing it today or tomorrow, I would assume. Pretty awesome. Pyron's not doing too well though, under 4 cents. Let's see, ETC POW, another one of those projects taking a complete shit, but it is at 37 cents, up 2.2% on the day. Check out Honey real quick. Hivemapper, let's see, 1886, down 5%. Not too bad. Good. I want to buy some before the Coinbase listing hits, just because I think it's going to be a good jump. All right, let's get into this. Anybody that has missed the news, wake the F up, because where have you been? The SEC apparently posted this on their Twitter. I actually did see this when it was posted, and then it was retracted minutes later, but it does say today the SEC grants approval for the Bitcoin ETFs for listings on all registered national security exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETF will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. And then they go on to state that this has been compromised. The SEC Gov Twitter account was compromised, and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC was not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. Pretty interesting. Where is Crypto KJ? I had Crypto KJ on this link and it's not here. Let me see. Hold on. Crypto KJ, where are you at? You actually posted something pretty funny. That was pretty good. Here it is. This is what I wanted to show you guys. This is funny as hell. Another case of do as we say, not as we do. Now, I'm thinking this is some sort of inside job, just so the SEC could have some sort of legs to stand on to deny this and state that, look, the market can be manipulated, so now we don't have to approve this, so we can just push it off further. I truly believe that's what's happening here, but that's just my opinion. We have, we can confirm right here. This is X Safety, right? Twitter, okay, says we can confirm that the account SEC Gov was compromised, and we have completed a preliminary investigation. Based on our investigation, the compromise was not due to any breach of X's system, but rather due to an unidentified individual obtaining control over the phone number associated with the SEC account through a third party. We can also confirm that the account did not have two-factor authentication enabled at the time the account was compromised. We encourage all users to enable this extra layer of security. More information and tips on how to keep your account secure here, whatever. Just look at this. The SEC back in October 2023 says this is a reminder to secure your financial accounts as well as protect against identity theft and fraud. Remember to use strong passwords or phrases, set up multi-factor authentication, and keep account alerts turned on. Bruh. This is freaking ridiculous. Like, what do you mean? You got, all right, so they're sitting there telling you to do this. Like, this is why I think it's an inside job, because there's no chance that they didn't have this set up. Like, I'm sorry, there is no chance. They had to have shut it off, and they had to have leaked the phone number. Who the hell knows what phone number is tied to the SEC X account? besides the people inside. Like, come on, like, be real. This is ridiculous. I don't know. It doesn't make any damn sense to me, but there is shit all over the news this morning. Literally everybody and their mother made a video about this just to get clicks. Not trying to hate on anybody, but dude, there's so many people just immediately live streaming just to get like whatever. I mean, listen, Panda streamed news for the first time in his life. Really? Bruh. Panda doesn't do news, but he went live yesterday. Everybody covered this, so there is just shit everywhere. So I grabbed like everything I could out of the news to kind of put this together. But the thing that really bothers me is the fact that they're trying to blame this on Twitter, and it's not Twitter. It was 100% SEC's fault, 1,000% the SEC's fault. So let's get into this right here. SEC says X account compromised. Tweet about Bitcoin ETF not accurate. Not only was it not accurate, they rug pulled everybody. All right, let's get into it.
We have more breaking news on the Bitcoin ETF stuff. Kate Rooney has those details. Kate.
Morgan, a bit of a twist here. The ETF decision, the SEC now saying that its Twitter and X account has been compromised. It has not made a decision yet on that Bitcoin ETF. We have a statement here from an SEC spokesperson saying that the SEC Gov Twitter/X account has been compromised. The unauthorized tweet regarding Bitcoin ETFs was not made by the SEC or its staff. Gary Gensler putting out a similar statement, the chair of the SEC there. But again, it does appear the SEC's account has been compromised. And
how many of you people think it's an inside job? Honestly, in the chat, I'm gonna put a poll up, and I truly want to know if you guys think this was just like a plan for them to be able to say, hey, no, we're gonna halt this.
Not yet made a decision on a Bitcoin ETF. It has affected prices here, Morgan, as you guys were talking about, and Bitcoin, at least for now, is still moving to the downside on that. What was potential news, but a compromised account there, and it appears the SEC's Twitter account has been hacked. That news again, moving prices here. But back with you guys.
But Gary Gensler's Twitter account.
Look at it. It spiked almost. Did it hit 48,000? I think it might have for like a brief second. It literally was just like a boner wick and then right back down. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the supposed hacker actually made a whole bunch of money or if he just wrecked a lot of longs and shorts. That's pretty much what seems to have happened.
I suppose has not been hacked so far as we know. The part to me that's weirdest about this, we're in a time when we expected the news to come through this account, but then we're hearing about the hack through the same platform where they apparently were hacked.
It's so funny.
Is there
it's like
any
ridiculous.
kind of a press conference or statement outside of X that we can expect to hear on this?
So I should clarify, John, the statement that we got from the SEC was from an emailed SEC spokesperson here. So we have an emailed statement from the SEC clarifying what's going on Twitter and X. Although, again, Gary Gensler's account retweeting that and putting out a similar statement that, yes, that account has been hacked. But taking things away from X and Twitter for a second, we do have an official statement from a verified SEC spokesperson here over email that says we have not made a decision yet.
Okay, and so I'm just going to reiterate it one more time. It would appear that X has been hacked, that the U.S. government, the SEC, has not been hacked, which in of itself would have been quite interesting since the SEC is also regulating all of these cybersecurity issues and hacks for public or private sector as well right now. But bottom line, this is not true. We don't have this. Focus on the SEC website, perhaps, rather than some of the...
They're supposed to be protecting us, and yet this shit comes out on their Twitter.
Social media platforms.
Exactly. No word yet. And, it has been compromised. But again, as John mentioned, this was an afternoon in which we expected to potentially get some news around this, if not tomorrow. So it does come on a day when markets were very much pricing this in and expecting this news. So... yeah, absolutely.
It's a goddamn mess. She meant to say, welcome to the shit show. All right, ready? Look at this. So we have, I posted this yesterday. It was on Twitter. Somebody posted it. I forget who it was, but it said, careful what you read on the internet. The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC. And then a few moments later, the SEC X account was compromised and an unauthorized post was posted. The SEC has not approved a listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. So funny. It's so ridiculous. All right, let's get into this. We have how the pending Bitcoin ETF approval send the halving are driving crypto markets. Let's see. Oh, sorry, and the halving. Why did I say send? What the hell's wrong with me? Anyways, hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you all. Let's do it.
Bitcoin prices whipsawed in late Tuesday trade after
Whipsawed.
the SEC, the aforementioned, deleted a social media post saying the agency had approved spot Bitcoin ETFs. The SEC says its account on X was compromised.
Bruh.
X
Inside
says
job.
they didn't have two-factor identification. Yep, you can't make this stuff up, can you? The post came ahead of today's deadline for the regulator to decide on at least one of the pending ETF applications, with trading potentially beginning as soon as tomorrow in the event of an approval. Now, I just don't take it as given that Arjun is joining us from a crypto finance conference in St. Moritz as well.
Real quick, I just want to reiterate, right? Regardless of the news that just came out, today's still the day we're supposed to get the approval. So today is the day that we need to see what really happens to kind of decipher if this was some sort of bullshit inside job. If they go and delay this thing, I'm telling you, there's no way they didn't plan this. There's zero chance in my mind they didn't plan this.
We've actually done biometric checks on him to make sure that is the real Arjun Kapoor. We've actually done three-factor identification. We can confirm it is he, which means we've done something that the SEC failed to do, Arjun.
That's right. I mean, clearly they weren't really listening in the cybersecurity training the agency likely put on. That seems to be the case here. Twitter also saying that part of the compromised account was due to the fact that someone obtained the phone number associated with
How does that happen?
that X account.
How does that happen? How do they get the phone number? How does somebody get your phone number without you giving it to them?
As well, so there's
Such horseshit.
compromises his account on many planes here, and I think there'll be a lot of questions how the SEC had allowed this to happen, how that phone number was compromised as well, and clearly one of the things that resulted from that sort of false tweet was the fact that Bitcoin spiked immediately after that, and I think it shows you just how important this ETF story has been and will continue to be to the Bitcoin narrative this year as well. It very much has underpinned the 150% rally we saw last year. It continues to underpin the rally we've seen at the start of this year as well. And the big idea here really is an approval of the ETF by the SEC, which has been very opposed to the idea of a Bitcoin ETF for a long time, will bring in more institutional investors into Bitcoin. It will bring in...
Oh, yeah, it looks like it did hit 48K, but this is to me, this is a final shakeout of the weak hands.
New class of investors into Bitcoin, and this could propel the cryptocurrency to new all-time highs. Of course, we're still waiting for that approval here, but I think it shows that perhaps the ETF approval may not be the sell the news event that many had thought that it may be as well. But on top of the ETF approval, here at the CFC conference in St. Moritz, there will be another topic on the top of participants' mind, and that is halving, this event written into Bitcoin's technical code every 4 years. That's expected to take place in April this year. And this
Shout out to him for saying it properly with an accent. That's pretty tough.
This is when the rewards for the Bitcoin miners, these are companies, organizations that run these specialized machines that solve complex cryptographical puzzles that effectively serve to validate transactions on the Bitcoin network. Their rewards for doing this job will be slashed in half. This is designed to keep a lid on inflation in Bitcoin and reduce the supply into the market. And when we've seen this in the past in Bitcoin cycles, this has usually preceded a bull run as well. So this is really what's getting investors excited at the moment around the Bitcoin and broader crypto story. The question is this cycle any different? We haven't seen Bitcoin in an environment with interest rates this high. We haven't seen Bitcoin in such an environment at this point in time. So will this time be different? At the moment, the market's signaling that there's still a lot of bullishness around these two stories, the ETF and the halving as well, guys.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersetti.
Oh God, who the hell? Where did you come from? What just happened? I didn't see that whole video. All right, let's get fake Bitcoin ETF approval. We're gonna continue this again. There literally every news channel on the planet has done this. Guys, that like button. I'm sorry to ask, but YouTube makes me. Let's do it.
Yesterday, we were kind of expecting news from the SEC this week to see whether there's approval for an ETF on Bitcoin.
Bruh.
Yesterday there was a tweet, but it was actually a false tweet. So someone managed to hack into the SEC X account and saying it was approved when it wasn't.
Yes, which is even for crypto
crypto standards quite insane. And it turns out X is saying that the SEC didn't have two-factor authentication, which is a pretty standard way to protect your accounts.
Listen, this lady, actually, I did watch this one, and she talks about the market manipulation and then catches herself. So that's how friggin' sketchy this whole thing is, because it's not just me or any of you guys that are thinking this is an inside job. This is totally messed up.
And obviously the irony wasn't lost on crypto folks who have been, under pressure from regulators and criticized for not having strong cybersecurity controls, and now, they get this hack on the other side. So it was quite interesting, but it did show what the reaction might be if an SEC gets approved, and we saw Bitcoin fall quite quickly and other crypto assets. So maybe it is priced in. I mean,
what chart were you looking at, lady? It went up and then it went down.
Quite interesting that you're still able to manipulate, not manipulate, but because we don't know if that's what happened.
There it
you're
is.
able to move prices with tweets and just hack into the SEC's account.
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear the catch? The manipulate catch?
Manipulate, not manipulate, but because we don't know if that's what happened, but you're able to move prices with tweets and just hack into the SEC's account.
Yeah, it's funny. So that's
said that on public TV. This is absolutely going to be their excuse for not approving this ETF.
I was like, wow, it's still very relevant, actually, because Bitcoin did move quite a lot. Were we expecting it to go down? So again, I mean, this was a hack, so we don't know if it's approved, but would it have been surprising
it didn't go down much.
that Bitcoin fell on the back of the approval of ETFs?
I think so. People are more expecting it to shoot up. We had a similar incident where people thought...
Am I blind? Did it not shoot up and then go down? Did anybody else see the chart, or is it just me?
They had been approved and the price shot up. But it has been going up and down a lot since the start of the year, so maybe it is priced in. We'll see now what the reaction will be, because obviously now it's happened already, so people know what the reaction. It's very messed up.
Okay, look, hold on. There it is, up. It started here, it went right back to where it was, and they said it went down. Like, what? I'm kind of confused. All right, anyways, move on. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. TD Ameritrade CEO Joe Maglia talks the SEC X's page getting hacked. Everybody's just making fun of the SEC this morning. This is perfect, guys. The like button. Appreciate you all.
For more on sort of all of this, especially from a managerial perspective, let's bring in Joe Mowgli. He is the former CEO and chairman of the Ameritrade, also a former star college.
Isn't that the guy from Jungle Book?
Football coach. I'd love to talk to you about that, but I want to talk to you about this. And we brought you on, and you were gracious enough to drive all this way through crud weather. Sorry. To be here with us. If you are Gary Gensler, if you're running a major organization that is vital to millions of investors like you did at TD Ameritrade.
Gensler's going to have to join the circus after this, like 100%. Once he gets fired from the SEC, he's going to have to 100% just join the Circus Soleil or something.
What are you doing right now?
I think the number one rule that any leader has, especially in our industry, is you got to be able to protect your clients, and you got to be able to take care of your shareholders while you're doing that, and you're going to deliver value to each of those through your employees and your people. The biggest concern, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, and I'm not a doomsday guy, but with the geopolitical situation, the way it is in the world today, and
this is clear as day. It's clear as day manipulation.
I worry about that. That's one of the things that keep me up at night. There are a lot of ways you can bring down a country. Okay, chemical, biological might be one of them. But maybe the two most significant ones would be nuclear and cyber. So cyber is as important as it's ever been in the history of mankind. It's going to be more important tomorrow and more important down the road. So what are our leaders in those areas doing to, one, make sure that they secure the right talent, they have the right resources, and they're doing everything they possibly can to protect their platforms against people that are bad actors and want to be able to take advantage. So I think, to me, that's a big deal.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you for confirming. I love the Twitter community, X community, because they said the tweet was at 411, not 420. I'm so glad, because the 420 just would have added this muddled layer, kind of brought Musk into it. That said, you mentioned the investor, you said shareholders. The SEC obviously does not have shareholders.
They're always trying to throw Musk in the mud for some reason. I don't understand it.
No.
But it's client.
That guy really just significant. Did he significantly put emphasis on 420 on the news? Did he just do that?
Base is the entire U.S. and global investing community.
Agreed.
You heard what Eamon was saying. This was okay. It was an erroneous tweet. It was a hack. Okay. Bitcoin moved. They corrected it fairly quickly. But it just goes to show the speed of information can be a benefit and it can be a drawback.
A negative. If you look at the situation as kind of what happened today, if this can happen at the highest levels of something that's really critically important, then what does that say about investors' confidence in the market? Market manipulation was something Eamon had already talked about. If there's a lack of clarity or transparency with regards to what's going on, what kind of impact is that going to have on politics? And it just goes on and on from there. One of the other things Eamon said, and Kate had a great summary as well, but one of the other things Eamon said was, there's an implication here maybe with regard to generative AI. There are so many pieces coming together here. That's why I go back to the original question, Brian. Management, leadership's got to figure it out somehow. And if we have brilliant people that are able to take advantage through a hack, we've got to have brilliant people with better resources.
By the way, this is like, this is pretty lowbrow stuff from a hacker perspective. This is somebody who, I don't know, somehow got upfished or guessed the password, the SEC. They probably weren't using two-factor authentication, where you get the text.
Well, they definitely weren't. And somebody hacked or got the phone number they used, like they already said, but yeah, apparently they didn't do the research.
And by the way, everybody used that. It's just good. This was probably not that sophisticated of a thing, and we saw some damage for a brief period of time. It'll get fixed. But this, to your point, Joe, this is an era, and it's going to get worse this year. You're advising CEOs now, right? They're watching Last Call on CNBC.
What's your advice? Every CEO in the country is watching Last Call.
I hope. Thank you for saying. I'd like to believe that. What's your advice to them about how they can teach their employees how to make sure they themselves don't screw up, but also they don't get bad information, that they know fact from fiction? It's hard.
Yeah, maybe you want to say it's impossible, but the bottom line is the leader's job is to make sure he's protecting his people, his clients, et cetera. That's what his job is. So as they communicate to their own people, I think there are two things they got to be able to talk about. One, they got to be able to show the commitment that I mentioned at the very beginning of the show. They're doing everything they possibly can to handle this and protect their programs. One, but I think there's another piece.
Yet they just fucked everybody from one tweet.
To this, to sit around and act like this will never, ever happen again, that's not going to happen. So I think you've got to be able to spend some time, too, talking with your people in terms of something like this happens. Don't panic. Stop for a minute. Let's figure out what the problem is so we can solve the problem. But in the meantime, the markets are global, and they're going around, and they're not worried about whether or not we're going to stop for a minute. And there may very well be people that would take advantage of that.
Yeah, and this was the SEC. This is a federal government agency that is designed to protect investors, and they didn't protect themselves. I mean,
they didn't protect themselves. I closed that poll in the chat, by the way. I said, do you think this was a planned inside job? 86% of you said yes. 13% of you said no. Interesting poll.
It does give you, you're wondering, what's going on.
I go back to taking responsibility for your own actions. So you go back to FTX and the problems with regard to that. Well, crypto needed a digital solution for a digital market. And the SEC was pretty good coming in and doing enforcement, but they weren't doing a good job of being able to help structure that in a way where it would be more transparent and it would function more smoothly and efficiently. So, look, it's still, Brian, it's going back to, like, somebody is responsible. I don't mean the hacker, but it's the organization that has responsibility. Now, your point, if this is a little odd lot thing that anybody can kind of do and hack into it, well, then, oh, my God, it's the SEC, and the other side of it is Twitter. By the way, there's no love lost over time between Gensler and Musk. So I can see that heating up.
There it is. Between Gensler and Musk. They clearly hate each other. I know Musk can't stand the SEC, and he says he has no respect for them. Real quick, Black Cat Crypto says Securities Commission without security on their account, 100%. And let me see. Mad Dog Miner said nothing happens in the SEC without their knowing. Denial is the key, 100%. All right, let's see what Yahoo Finance has to say over here. Guys, hit that like button. I hate to ask, but YouTube makes me. Let's do it.
Breaking news, chaos over the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF. I want to lay out for our viewers what just happened. First, there was a tweet from the official SEC government account that said all spot Bitcoin ETFs had been approved. Then, a short while later, Gary Gensler's personal account tweeting, the SEC Gov Twitter account was compromised, and an
Sorry, guys, I sold the SEC's phone number for Bitcoin. I wish that's what it said.
unauthorized tweet
Someone needs to hack his account and put that as a tweet. That'd be so funny.
Posted. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products. There are so many implications of this. We were just speaking with Samir Karbaj of Hashdex, who happened to be on the set. He's one of the issuers who is looking for this approval from the SEC. He had said that it was likely that there would not be a public-facing announcement, but rather you would look on the Federal Register, which is a technical website that lists these filings. So it was shocking, and then equally shocking to find that this official account had indeed been hacked.
Yeah, and our thanks again to Samir for rolling really well with it. It was surprising to see it posted on a social media platform, but when it comes from a verified government source, you're thinking you can go with it. But we were both surprised that that they decided to announce that on X, kind of a smiling pic of Gary Gensler, but it has now been shifted here, and we were surprised by the time.
Dude, this is kind of half the real danger with AI. Like anything can be manipulated to make it look legit, right? I mean, regardless of that was just like a picture of Gary, right? But people can make him talk. They can make him do all sorts of shit, rather. Excuse me. And it's AI is going to be one of those things that is really gonna affect things this next upcoming year. Just wait.
Timing as well, I think.
Yes. Well, yes, we were expecting this news perhaps to come tomorrow. I mean, I will say also, this doesn't reflect terribly well on X that this hack was able to be enacted, right? That this happened on that platform. To put out this fake tweet. I want to bring in our team coverage on this as well. We've been working now for several weeks talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF. Our own David Hollerith, who's been covering it, Jennifer Schonberger covering it from Washington. They are both here with more. Wow, you guys, that's all I can say. David, let's start with you. You have been reporting that what we were expecting, which we now still seem to be expecting, is that we'll get some kind of news tomorrow after the close of trading.
Right, and Julie, it kind of helps to point out too, and you're well aware of this, is that the process of approving an ETF by way of the SEC is pretty bureaucratic, and it takes a lot of time, and it's usually doesn't cater this much excitement from the investing public. Now, this has obviously been an exception, given that a Bitcoin ETF is something the industry has sought since, for the past decade.
2013, the Winklevoss twins, or however you say their name, is they were the first ones, and they were actually denied in 2017 with everybody else, and then obviously applicants came back in.
I guess through the second half of 2023, we saw anticipation building around this. And so now, we're at this point where it's a pretty nebulous internal agency process. And everybody has been trying to sort of get around this to understand when approval could happen because it is such a closed process. And all because of that, you take that on top of all these people who were trying to come up with, when the approval could actually happen. And it kind of creates this recipe where a lot of people want to believe the latest thing that happened. When this first came out, obviously it's not very characteristic of the SEC to be issuing a statement. And traditionally they're pretty closed, or they're pretty tight-lipped about voicing these processes. And it usually comes out through SEC filings is where we see this.
And Jennifer,
enforcement action. Everybody just gets sued.
I want to bring you in here as well. I mean, it was surprising, Jennifer, to see this news posted on the social media platform, to see it posted on X. But, often, you see a verified government account, you think you can trust it. What was your response to it?
Yeah, Josh, to your point, I was a bit skeptical at first, too. I kind of went and said, is this definitely the SEC's account? Yeah, it looks like it. But to your point, and to David's point, generally the SEC is not going to put the approval on Twitter, now X, first. It's going to come in the form of a filing on Edgar. And the SEC scrambling, coming out with a statement just moments ago, a spokesperson telling me that the SEC's Twitter account had been compromised and that, quote, the unauthorized tweet regarding Bitcoin's ETF was not made by the SEC or its staff. So this is also something for
Supposedly.
X to look into as well when it comes to hackers.
Well, definitely.
Now, who's going to investigate them? I want to see what happens in this investigation, right? Obviously, X did confirm that they didn't have two-factor authentication enabled, or it wasn't proper, something along those lines. I want to see who's going to actually chase down the person that made that tweet.
And that unauthorized tweet stayed up on the official SEC page for 10 minutes at least. I just checked once again. It has now been taken down. It has been erased. The Gensler tweet obviously remains there, guys. So
hold on. Do I have a picture of it? I think I have a picture of it. Do I? Yeah, this one right here. This is it. This is what they posted. Today, the SEC grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for listing on all registered national security exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETFs will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. It wasn't real. Wasn't real. Wasn't real, people. Just keep that in mind. Where was I? Oh boy. Lost my spot. There we go.
Oh, okay. So let's level set then and assume we're back to where we were, that perhaps we will hear news about the spot Bitcoin ETFs tomorrow. Perhaps then they'll start trading at some point in the future. What are you hearing from the issuers at this point, David, in terms of, this might have scrambled things a little bit, certainly surprised people. But what are you hearing from the issuers in terms of what they're now expecting?
So, not James in the chat said, watch it be the same kid that leaked the GTA 6 trailer.
To be honest, we haven't had time to
be great.
Yeah, this all unfolding very quickly.
Yeah, since this has happened. From what we heard from applicants, the expectation was approval for some time on Wednesday, with trading beginning on Thursday. And, we can't begin to understand how this might change the calculus, if at all. But one thing I guess we could
real quick, Ravio, I don't know how you say your name. I'm sorry, I'm totally butchering that. He said, who can recover a password in 2FA? So they had the phone number to the SEC that was tied to that X account, and that's how it was able to get compromised, right? So what they do is they text the phone number. So they must have got SIM swapped or something, where somebody was able to take over the phone number, and once you type in your password, it confirms it in a two-factor to a cell phone, and you have to approve it. So something was leaked somewhere along those lines, and yeah, who knows?
Take in light of all this is that we did get to see a brief moment of what happens to the Bitcoin price if approval is to come out. And so now that we kind of know that, things were
shot up like what, $2,000, $3,000, and then shot back down. I mean, it was kind of a final shakeout, to be honest.
A little bit volatile and shaky after that. But again, it's likely not going to be the same.
So he said, who owns the phone number? That's a good question. Who knows? Nobody knows. Someone in the SEC, obviously, but somebody either hacked it or Gary sold it for Bitcoin. That's what I'm going with. I think he sold it for Bitcoin.
And Jennifer, I want to get your take on that as well. Listen, we're guessing here, but do you think an event like this, in your opinion, does it upend the timing or no? You think the SEC stays dead set? If they've made a decision, they've got a timeline in mind, and they're going to go with it?
Well, they've got a deadline when it comes to ARC, so they still have to legally meet that deadline. So hack or no, we're going to have a decision on this by tomorrow or maybe Thursday at the latest. Now, there are obviously more than one applicants. We've got Grayscale, we've got BlackRock, the list goes on. Is the SEC going to do this in one slew and one batch, or are we going to see sort of a trickle down? That remains to be seen. And
they're going to approve it all at once, if they're going to approve it at all. Real quick, I put a poll in the chat. I said approval on the Bitcoin ETF or not. 35% of you said approved, 50% said delayed, and the rest of you said F no. Yeah, I'm going with I think it's going to be delayed, and they're going to use the market manipulation from yesterday as an excuse. Which is, I think it's an inside job. I think something's going on.
Well, there'll be an effective date for trading so that all of these can begin trading on the same day to create sort of a level playing field. These are all questions. And then from there, you know, to Chair Gensler, what is it that has changed in his mind and in the agency's mind that they no longer believe that it's going to be subject to market manipulation? And frankly, does this give them more power, more ability to better regulate crypto if they become a regulated exchange-traded product?
Real quick, Mr. DJ Death Star, appreciate the $5 super chat. Keeping the stream alive, says, try again. With a nice little sticker. Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much.
Jen, I'm curious.
And look at that. So that was the wick up and the wick down. Like, obviously, it's excitement, right? People are excited. Oh, shit, it's approved. Hell yeah. Like, some people are going to think this is going to pump to high heavens. Other people are going to think it's going to dump, right? So, I mean, listen, we more or less dropped like less than, I don't even know, less than $1,000, to be honest. And it's really not that bad. Mr. Geek of All Trades coming in hot with the 5 gifted memberships, dude. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see who got it. We got Automatic Beats, Not James, Solar Miner, Chris Nichols, and J-Dub. Congrats, guys. Link your VIP with Discord. I actually do have to give away 100 Kaspa today, so go check out the community posts. Let's do it.
This all happening, does this give the SEC any legal cover to delay? Because, right, it is as part of a legal decision that they have.
Well, that's a good question. I really want to know.
To let ARK and 21 shares know by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the deadline. I mean, I know we're not legal experts here, but is there any chance this could change the
tomorrow
timeline?
As in today.
I was going to say, I'm not a legal expert, so in my view, and
she's like, listen, bitch, don't put that shit on me.
Not having done any due diligence on this, you know, I wouldn't think it would, but who knows?
Mr. Dan R, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Again, we have Nerdbeast, Mining of the North, Anthony, congrats, Hereby Service, and Mike the Miner. Appreciate you guys. Congratulations.
And I will say the official communication we did get today, by the way, from the Securities and Exchange Commission is something on investor.gov by the SEC's Director of Investor Education and Advocacy, which basically warns about some of the pitfalls of cryptocurrencies, or that investors need to exercise caution. So that's the official word that is all we have today from the SEC. So just something to note as we try to figure out our way through this situation, Josh.
Look at all these smiling faces just laughing at Genzo right now.
And Dave, I want to get you made an interesting point there too, Dave. For however brief, that brief window in time where we thought the approval was there, we did see a reaction in Bitcoin, because that's an interesting, listen, that's another really important question we've been asking, Dave, is if and when you get the approval, how Bitcoin reacts. Is it a positive catalyst, right? Or is it going to be
what did they think was going to happen? It was just going to stay flat? Like the most volatile asset on the planet is just going to stay flat with some good news? Really?
Sell the news event.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't really expect anything good to happen when it's supposed to with Bitcoin, given the amount of derivatives that are like trading in the market. But longer term, a lot of people do think that the ETFs, by giving more access to investors, will substantially help how the Bitcoin market trades. And it will bring in more flows. I mean, we have really big Wall Street names coming in wanting to issue these kinds of products. That being said, you know, obviously the question of manipulation, really what led to this moment for approval was Grayscale's lawsuit with the against the SEC, as far as we know. And in that lawsuit, it was basically based on how the SEC argued manipulation in the Bitcoin markets worked and whether it was different from the future markets.
And so, mark my words, that's going to be the key word here, manipulation, for them to deny this ETF today.
If we take all of that and in kind together, I think sort of the question here is just kind of what exactly is the SEC able to argue that is different now as opposed to how it was an hour ago?
David, Jennifer, thank you both so much.
That's it. Yeah, honestly, they can't argue it. This is their fault. They screwed this up. All right, SEC X's page hack, not a prank, and designed to make some money. Ooh, interesting. I want to see what this says. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Hate asking, but YouTube makes me.
Let's get more on the SEC Bitcoin headlines that broke.
Like I just said moron at the beginning. That's kind of funny.
Just the past hour, SEC Chair Gary Gensler saying an earlier tweet from the agency that said Bitcoin ETFs had been approved. that tweet was unauthorized. For more on the implications, let's bring in Dmitry Alperovich, Silverado Policy Accelerator's executive chairman and the co-founder of CrowdStrike. He joins us on the Fast Line. Dmitry, great to speak with you.
Thank you for having me.
When you take a look at what's going on, what's your initial take? What are the questions that you initially ask?
Well, this is a really big deal because this is actually the first Twitter hack that I can remember, and there have been so many of them, that actually was really, really smart and that was able to move the markets by $22 billion, almost $23 billion in market cap for Bitcoin. So someone could have really cleaned up here. This wasn't just a prank, as we've seen in
Someone could have cleaned up here. Someone definitely already cleaned up here, if they were smart anyways.
Past where they're posting some scam or some message that is really irrelevant to the markets. This was clearly designed to make some money here. And I'm sure that companies like Chainalysis and other blockchain transaction investigative companies are tracking this right now, trying to figure out who could have possibly benefited from it.
Oh yeah, what are the odds they catch the person that did it? What do you guys think? Could you imagine if it was Gary? It'd be so funny if he really did compromise the phone number and stuff just to like F things up. Oh man.
But when it comes to figuring,
he knows he's getting fired soon anyways. He don't give a shit.
Out who might have been behind this breach, this hack, where would you go first as a security expert?
Well, I would be looking at the transactions on the blockchains. And, of course, the great thing about the blockchain is that everything is recorded. So even though it's pseudonymous and you may not know exactly who's behind it right away, every transaction is available for you. So anyone that is placing bets on Bitcoin that it would go up right before this tweet, you want to look very carefully. And then anyone who's selling minutes into it is a potential someone who's potentially tied to this hack.
So basically, you're saying that you would trace who made the most money off this trade, and therefore you'd find the person who probably funded the hack of whatever it may be, whether it be Twitter or the SEC itself.
Can I just say right now, this is probably a huge moment in history where the SEC is probably happy that this all happened in Bitcoin because they can trace it. If it was cash, guess what? The robber would be gone. He'd be like, out of here. There's no chance of catching him. Sorry.
That's certainly the first lead you want to investigate. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is going to be responsible, but it's as good of a start as any.
From your standpoint, Dmitry, is this easy to do? I mean, you mentioned this is the first hack where
you're just going to pay Gensler. Anybody can get the phone number. Come on.
Saw money actually being made. And we've seen other instances fairly recently, I think within the past year, for instance, of a AI-generated photo of the Pentagon in flames, and that actually moved the S&P 500. I mean, there are various examples here. You can actually quantify the dollar amount which which the Bitcoin market moved by, but there are other ways to move the markets as well. Is this easy to do in your view? I mean, if you're going to hire a hacker, can you do this?
It's certainly possible, but I can tell you, hacking an account.
Bro, you could like hire people to kill people on the dark web. You don't think you could hire somebody to hack a freaking Twitter? You kidding me?
Of a major organization like the SEC is generally not easy. Many of them will have what's known as multi-factor authentication enabled, which means that you don't just need their password, you also need a one-time code that would be generated. And, you know, one thing that I'm really curious about here is that there's been another profile hack just on Friday of a major cybersecurity company that's usually also very good on security. So one of the questions I have right now is this a hack of SEC or their Twitter account? Or is this potentially a problem with the X itself, the platform, where someone
may have... that's the thing right there. Is this a problem with X itself? Trying to blame Twitter or X, whatever, just Elon Musk in general because they don't like him. This whole thing's going to get so twisted into that it's X's fault versus the SEC's fault. It's just unreal. Nerdbeast said, if you believe for a second they are going to properly investigate this, you are dreaming. Have you been living under a rock? Yeah, 100% they're not going to investigate this. It's just going to get swept under the rug and see you later. Mr. Steven Cicero with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for that. Nick K. Jason Hamilton got it. Let's see. Katana. We have Chris Freeman. And there's one more coming. I don't know who's going to get it, but let's continue and we'll wait.
I've been able to get to the backhand and reset passwords and gain access to a number of accounts. So it could be much broader than just this one organization that was compromised here.
So are you trying to link the two potentially? That, I mean, cybersecurity, you're only as strong as your weakest link, right? And so if you hire a cybersecurity company or any other company to do work for you, and there's a backdoor into that company, they then have a backdoor into yours. Are you saying that hack of the cybersecurity company on Friday could have contributed to this in some way?
No.
Wait, there was a hack on a cybersecurity company on Friday? What? Anybody hear that?
No.
Weird.
What I'm saying is that someone could have hacked X or Twitter itself and gained access to the accounts of both. So the fact that these are happening within days of each other is really, really suspicious. And we know that in the past, people have been able to get access to Twitter accounts by compromising the organization or social engineering employees within it or even bribing them. So it's happened before. We know that, of course, Elon has fired so many people inside the company. We don't know how many people are left inside their security team. So it's quite possible that the issue is on that side.
Is it your impression that Twitter's security is porous?
Well, it's been poor for quite some time, for many years, and I find it hard to believe that after firing more than half of the employee base, it's gotten any better.
Oh my God, Crypto KJ, I have to show that. I gotta open my Discord, so you guys gonna have to give me a second. But let's listen to this. Like, this is the I'm pretty sure this is the video where they start talking about X and possibly X being I guess liable for this whole thing, right? That's probably the proper word to use.
All right, so this issue with the SEC X account, how big of a deal is it for the crypto market right now? I'm looking at Bitcoin under some pressure right now. Is this SEC, false tweet, is that at all a catalyst for that decline?
I think it is a catalyst for the decline of Gary Gensler. It is a bad look from the SEC. You need to have better security. That being said, it's not great, obviously, for the people who had shorts on Bitcoin. They see it go up because of this false tweet. And then when it was, confirmed to not be real, the people who had long options lost out. So it hurts a lot of people. That being said, I think that security breaches are a lot different than sort of a fundamental shift that's happening. So it's just another day in sort of the crazy crypto world. And I think that the market will move on.
It's just a crazy world out there when it comes to cryptocurrency. Understood. One thing that's not crazy is the institutional investor area. They're pretty savvy investors. And you say they've been buyers of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency all year long. And that's been one of the reasons we've seen the price go up. So I have to ask you, with the possibility of ETFs, does that change things for registered investment advisors and how they stack portfolios and how they advise their clients? Is this going to become something more mainstream?
I think it certainly could, particularly for that sort of smaller to medium size RIA, right? If you're running a kind of small RIA in Michigan or Iowa, you're probably not thinking you were going to go all in on crypto if your customers are primarily dentists, lawyers, maybe closer to retirement age. But ETFs make it a lot easier, feels a lot safer. At very least there's sort of more guardrails around it. You're probably not going to end up with an SBF style disaster. So I certainly think it could pull in some of that crowd.
That's a bold statement, Cotton. We have what's it called? This ETF thing. I mean, yeah, it's going to bring in a lot more people, and it's going to make them feel a lot more secure when it comes to I guess what's it called? Just feeling more safe with having somebody else kind of hold the keys, right? There's no risk of you losing your keys if you're buying a BlackRock ETF, but at the same time, if this market moves at all like it did yesterday, like they're shutting off this ETF for the day. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just getting shut down, and you're not gonna be able to trade or sell until tomorrow. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. Like, yes, it's a bit more safe, at least in my opinion, what I would assume, right, for the average Joe person. But for people like us that are into crypto, it's very smart to hold your own versus this ETF. It just makes sense.
SBF style disaster. It felt like pretty singular, but if there's a style to that, I think everybody wants to avoid it, Sarah.
Crazy.
So I think the last
Absolutely
question,
crazy.
more broadly, Bitcoin ETF, if it gets approved, whether it's ARK Invest, BlackRock, Grayscale, whoever else, what does it mean more broadly for cryptocurrency long term? Is this more of a legitimization of cryptocurrency? Does it boost the sector overall long term?
course it does.
Yeah, it's unlikely that we're just going to see one get approved. We're probably going to not see the SEC pick favorites if they approve. So we'll see a basket of them. I do think it's a long time coming in that legitimacy. The first spot ETF was, the idea for it was floated almost a decade ago. And now we're finally at kind of decision day to see, will it happen? And a lot of people think it will. So I think that's a huge step forward in crypto being more regulated and more accessible.
Facts. All right, let's see. It's the Crypto KJ. We're gonna play something. I don't know. I apologize for the foul language, but it says Gary Gensler makes a statement, and I haven't listened to this whole thing. I heard like 3 seconds of it, and it was pretty funny. It's 30 seconds long, so let's do it.
I don't know what I'm doing or saying. My wife dressed me this morning and wiped my ass after I took a pooey poo, and I'm so disoriented that I might just have to resort to screaming and yelling to create the illusion that I comprehend what the heck I'm doing.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose. And the American people are tired of it. Frankly, I'm tired of it. Crypto is getting ready to deploy spot ETFs, and you're still sitting there sucking your thumb, wondering if Satoshi is a mermaid or a tulip.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, if you guys didn't know, clearly that's AI. That is the best. That is hysterical. Thank you for that, Crypto KJ. You just made my morning. Appreciate it. All right. Oh, man. All right. Let's get on to Crypto World CNBC again. Bitcoin hovers at its 21-month high ahead of imminent spot ETF decisions by the SEC. This was before the bullshit news came out yesterday. So I want to hear what the normal news was before everything happened yesterday. This is about 16 hours ago. So let's get into this.
Today, Bitcoin trades at its highest level in nearly 2 years as the deadline for spot Bitcoin ETFs approaches. Plus, eToro's Callie Cox and 3iQ's Mark Connors break down what could happen to crypto markets if those spot ETF applications get the go-ahead.
That was so good. Thank you, Crypto KJ. I'll play that again at the end for anybody that might have missed.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Crypto prices mixed as we're just hours away from the SEC's first deadline for a decision on spot Bitcoin ETFs among this latest batch of applications. Now that's tomorrow, January 10th, and it is the final deadline for the application from ARK21 shares. Though the SEC could approve all the pending applications from 13 asset managers all at once.
Again, today is the final day, so we should be hearing some legitimate news, and I would assume it's not going to be on Twitter. It should probably be some sort of press conference. I guess we'll have to see.
Noon Eastern, Bitcoin climbed more than 4%, inching closer to the $47,000 level after it crossed that mark yesterday. This morning, the cryptocurrency traded at its highest level in nearly 2 years. Ether, meanwhile, traded flat, and Solana climbed more than 6%, crossing $100 once again. Crypto-focused stocks, including Coinbase, MicroStrategy and Miners, Marathon, and Riot, all in the red as of noon Eastern, with Coinbase dropping the most by more than 3%. Now, there is one exception, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which saw a 2% pop. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Digital Currency Group claimed last week that it had paid off its loans from crypto lending firm Genesis, but debtors say that that's not true. The group made the allegation in a filing yesterday, the first business day after DCG took to X to announce its payment of all short-term loans from Genesis. Now, according to that court filing, DCG still owes more than $26 million for interest and late fees on top of a Bitcoin payment that is yet to be determined. The filing states that, quote, the DCG entities have not satisfied their obligations in full pursuant to the partial repayment agreement and continue to owe the debtors' estates and their creditors significant sums of USD and BTC. We reached out to DCG but did not immediately hear back. Next, a new mysterious nonprofit group backed by the crypto industry is making moves to try and influence Congress ahead of the 2024 elections. According to records uncovered by CNBC, the Cedar Innovation Foundation, which was incorporated in Delaware in April, has launched advertisements against at least one powerful lawmaker who's up for re-election and quietly hired a group of strategists to fight on its behalf. The Cedar Innovation Foundation doesn't publicly disclose its donors or say on its website who runs the organization or where it's located. According to people familiar with the matter, Cedar Innovation is being heavily funded by crypto industry players, with Coinbase likely to write a check for the group by the end of the year. A Coinbase spokesperson declined to comment about the potential funding and pointed to public remarks by executives. In a post last month on X, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong said, quote, "The crypto industry has a large war chest now to elect pro-crypto candidates in 2024, referring to a recent donation the company made to a new super PAC. According to an analysis by Reuters, crypto groups spent more than $18 million on lobbying in 2023. All right, back to spot Bitcoin ETFs for our main story. Today, in the final hours before a decision from the SEC, asset managers, including BlackRock, ARK 21 Shares, VanEck, WisdomTree, and others, filed updated documents. CoinDesk reported that the SEC sent comments to prospective issuers just hours after the asset managers filed documents yesterday, which explained fees for their proposed ETFs. Today's updated filings suggest that the companies were among those that received feedback from the agency. The updated filings show Invesco and Galaxy dropped fees to 0.39% from the earlier 0.59%, joining the majority of asset managers who disclosed fees in that lower range. This morning, John Palmer, Cboe Digital President, joined CNBC's Squawk Box to discuss the latest developments in the approval process for spot Bitcoin ETFs. The Cboe is one of the exchanges that will list those ETFs.
I think you've seen quite a lot of progress made really last couple of weeks. Even yesterday, we saw some back and forth between the commission and the issuers on the S1s. So I think that's good sentiment, right? I mean, progress here is good. You're seeing the agencies engage, you're seeing the issuers engage, and all the filings from the exchanges are all up to date at this point from what we can see.
Today, Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke with eToro investment analyst Callie Cox and the director of research at 3iQ, Mark Connors, about what to expect for crypto markets ahead of the much-anticipated decision on those spot ETFs.
Obviously, we need to talk about the Bitcoin ETF that has been the story, but it really is the story of the week this week. I want to talk about markets today to start, though. Bitcoin looking a little changed right now as I guess investors are sort of in wait and see mode with the ETF status, but altcoins down kind of across the board with a couple of exceptions. And I'll go to you for this one, Callie. What's up with the crypto market today?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna stop this right here. I kind of want to see. There's some new stuff that's coming out, so I want to see what this says. SEC hack who should be held accountable. This is a new CNBC clip. Let me get out of this real quick. Excuse me. All right, let's see what CNBC says here.
The SEC, meantime, says that an announcement about Bitcoin exchange-traded funds yesterday afternoon on its X file, on its X account, was false. In a statement to CNBC, the agency says it's determined that there was unauthorized access to and activity on the @SECGovX.com account by an unknown party for a brief period of time.
I'm still going with Gary sold it for Bitcoin.
Joining us
He sold the phone number for Bitcoin.
now for more on this is Rebecca Fike. She's a former SEC enforcement attorney, now a partner at Vinson and Elkins. And
You just have a hot mic laughing at her. Did you guys hear that?
Rebecca, this is embarrassing to say the very least.
I think that's exactly right. Thank you so much for having me this morning, Becky.
So
This was posted 22 minutes ago, by the way.
what happens if another company did this? The SEC, I think, would be all over it, investigating, trying to find out what happens. Who investigates the SEC?
That's a great question. You're exactly right that if this was any public company, the SEC would be immediately opening an investigation. They'd be calling the company's general counsel. They'd be letting them know to retain documents and evidence and asking a lot of questions about how this could happen. With the SEC, I think you're looking at Congress, I imagine, will have questions. The DOJ, I imagine, will be involved, although
Congress is going to rip Gary apart.
looking more at the potential hacker as opposed to, looking at the SEC itself. And since Bitcoin is a commodity, the CFTC could also be involved.
I mean, what's so concerning about this is the agency that's responsible for...
He does kind of look like one of them fish from SpongeBob, now that I look at him like this.
For policing the markets, making sure that there's not this way to manipulate and make or lose money, make other people lose money on this. With the turn of events, somebody pointed out, and this is very clear, this announcement came out, this fake announcement. It wiped out people who used options to short Bitcoin. The SEC immediately retracts it and said that this was a false tweet that had gone out, and then everybody who had used options to go long on Bitcoin loses money too.
Final shakeout. That's what it was. Oh.
What happens?
I mean, it was a market moving event. I mean, it really underscores how important cybersecurity is, which is one of the things the SEC and Chair Gensler have been speaking about so much. But it also underscores how complicated cybersecurity is and how hard it is to react in a crisis, and how even, I think it was 15 minutes that they believe the hacker had access to the account. In those 15 minutes, approximately $90 million of long and short positions were
$90 million within 15 minutes. I mean, it makes sense. It's crypto, but geez, that's crazy.
On Bitcoin. It's an incredibly important area. And the SEC, I think, got a direct lesson in how challenging an area it is.
In this case, it does not sound like it was X's fault in any way, shape, or form. They said that it was, in their investigation, it wasn't anybody at X or anyone who had access to X's accounts, and that the SEC hadn't even bothered to use the dual-factor authentication in this. But I do have questions about how you can manipulate markets on any social media. You think about it, and there's fake accounts. I mean, we have fake accounts for all of us that circulate around. If something were posted on that and the market moved on some of that news, who'd be responsible?
It would depend, the classic lawyer's answer. Generally, as far as the SEC goes, when a company has an official company feed on any social media channel, that is the one they're going to be held responsible for.
No, but I'm saying if there's somebody who's posing as one of these official accounts or someone else, if it's a troll, let's say, on X or on another social media, who's responsible for that?
I would say the troll is probably responsible for that, but the SEC,
she wanted to say Gary,
could ask questions of them if because market manipulation is its own.
Is it never going to be the social media? I mean, I just wonder about these things.
Karen's hitting her hard right now. Mr. DJ Death Star, appreciate you. So, the sticker that says wrecked. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
If we post something wrong on CNBC, I would assume it's CNBC's. Is a social media company ever responsible for any of that stuff, or is it too
Damn, she is so upsetty spaghetti right now.
Possible to police? And you go back to the CompuServe thing where they're just message
You want
boards.
someone to pay.
I think it would depend on, there's always that reasonableness factor. So, I mean, X does offer two-factor authentication. That certainly seems reasonable. I'm not sure why the government account doesn't have it. I know the gray check marks operate a little differently, but it would look at, who is the most to blame. If there's a social media account that lacks security, then I think the SEC and other potential agencies could hold the social media account.
Let's go back to the SEC issue at hand. What happens if the SEC approves this Bitcoin ETF today or tomorrow? I mean, that just seems like such a crazy timeline to have all of this play out.
It is.
Again, DJ, appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much.
I think, that's exactly why the market was so primed to react to the false announcement yesterday, because it's expected that approval might come through today. And I don't know that a hacker getting access to the account means that timeline should change, given what an enormous part of the financial markets they are.
I'm going to be honest. They shouldn't be posting it on Twitter if they're going to be doing like an official announcement anyways.
It certainly complicates things.
Just being real. That's crazy. All right, let's see. Let's see what this is. This right here was posted about 50 minutes ago, hour ago or so. Let's see. This is Bitcoin could hit $150,000 in the next 12 months and $500,000 in 5 years. Man, let's see what Tom Lee has to say here, guys. That like button, appreciate you. I hate asking, but YouTube makes me.
So came on and made a great call about some upcoming inflation numbers and what it would do to the S&P. What do you see your expertise as now in terms of stock market predictions? Will you do a week? Will you do a day? Do you do these options that expire in like 8 hours? Do you do those, or can we stick with 6 months and 1 year? What would you?
Oh, real quick, Fully Electric said CCXD, the SEC website was also modified. What does that have to do with X? Was it really? So the SEC's website was also modified? Crazy. That's a good point. That's a good point. I know they're trying to point fingers at X, but it's really not. It's not Elon's fault or anybody that owns it over there.
Rather do today.
I'd rather stick with 6 months to 1 year, Joe.
Okay. tell me what's going to happen then.
Well, I think 2024 is going to ultimately be a good year for stocks because we've got a Fed that's no longer fighting an inflation war. And we know that the ISM manufacturing, these PMIs are bottoming, and that's correlated with earnings beginning to accelerate. And we know there's pent-up CapEx. Capital spending's been sort of held back for the past few years. So that accelerates. That's good for earnings. And we expect mortgage rates to fall, which would be good for consumers. So it's really going to be a good year for stocks. But the caveat being the first 6 months probably a little more challenging because in the first 6 months, investors are going to be a little itchy or anxious for the Fed to do their first cut. And that uncertainty is going to weigh on stocks. And at the same time, it's going to bring back those who are fearful inflation rears up. So I think it's a good year overall, but most of the gains come in the second half.
Yeah, this is a simple case of consolidating some of the outsized gains we saw at the end of last year.
Yes, and as we all know, whenever you have a parabolic move, and the move from October to December was basically parabolic, you need to consolidate. In fact, you might even have to decline a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have the market down, as much as 5% by March. But that's really going to end up being a pullback you want to buy because, we're not having a hard landing. The only risk to our view would be if we have a recession.
So that would be the risk. What you think is 20%, 30? What is the risk of recession in your view?
I think it's low. In a typical year, the odds of a recession is 20%. I think it's probably around 20%, maybe even less, because I think what investors have priced in is greater than a 20% recession. As you know, there's still many people skeptical, thinking the only way that a Fed cycle ends is with a recession. So many think you're going to have a recession this year because of the yield curve. I think those have been very costly for investors because people have been overly cautious. But yeah, so I think the recession odds are low.
We don't have companies don't have the revenue boost from raising prices, or probably won't anymore. So I don't, what is your earnings picture for gains in 2024? Is it 10% on the S&P?
Yeah, it's pricing power and sort of greedflation. Only really a handful of companies really did that. Many of those were consumer product companies and staples, and they're the ones that have been suffering recently. Unit demand, I think, is one of the stories that'll emerge because as soon as we have lower interest rates, demand for housing is going to improve. That's there's a huge multiplier effect to GDP from housing activity. So I think you're going to see the cyclical part of the economy really pick up.
Do you, Tom,
I ain't gonna lie, it was getting boring as shit. All right. Anyways, guys, let's just end this on a serious note. So it is kind of interesting. Did their website actually get hacked? Because I can't find anything on their website actually being hacked. Or if anybody's just joining that doesn't know, the SEC ETF approval was bullshit over on Twitter. They're trying to blame Twitter. At the end of the day, it's SEC's fault. They didn't have two-factor authentication. They got compromised. Gary sold the phone number for Bitcoin. It's just, I don't know what he was thinking, but it ruined things. It ruined things and turned things upside down for a little bit, but nobody's talking about their website that was compromised, because I did see something on on their website yesterday, but I can't find it now. I was just searching around and I really can't find it, so kind of neat. And Mr. Dan R in the chat actually told me that there was a news article somewhere, but I don't see what you're saying on it. Let me see what this is. You said it was Senator Bill Haggerty. Is that who it was? You were saying, in light of the recent events, you might want to revisit this, Gary Gensler. This is a reminder to secure your, oh shit. He calls him out here. This is a reminder to secure your financial accounts as well as protect against identity theft and fraud. Use strong password, set up multi-factor authentication. Oh, Senator Haggerty actually tears them apart. Just like the SEC would demand accountability from the public company if they made such a colossal market-moving mistake, Congress needs to answer on what just happened. This is unacceptable.
Bruh. Perfect.
That's great. No shit. No shit. The SEC's Twitter account was compromised, if anybody doesn't know, and an unauthorized tweet was posted. The SEC was not approved. This is yeah, it's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. I don't know. I gotta follow this guy though. That's great. That was great. All right, let's end this on a high note. Where is that Crypto KJ? Where is that video you gave me? I'm gonna have to play that again, because that was hysterical. Just before we get out of here, do you guys have any last questions though before we jet out of here? Oh god, look at this. Look at this boob. Look at him. Look at him. Pain in the ass. I still can't believe this whole thing happened yesterday. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. He definitely sold it for Bitcoin. Over or under? I would definitely put a bet on. He definitely did. That's just my opinion. All right, let me open up Discord again, because I gotta show you guys this one more time over here on X. This beautifully AI'd video. I gotta leave you guys off with this. So hopefully you guys have a great, oh man, just messed that up. Have a great, safe, and happy Wednesday. I appreciate all you guys for watching. I'll be back bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I apologize for going a little bit late today. We're going to be raiding Randy Hipper after this, Miss Teen Crypto, if you guys don't know. But until next time, guys, have a good one and enjoy this with me.
I don't know what I'm doing or saying. My wife dressed me this morning and wiped my ass after I took a pooey poo, and I'm so disoriented that I might just have to resort to screaming and yelling to create the illusion that I comprehend what the heck I'm doing.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose. And the American people are tired of it. Frankly, I'm tired of it. Crypto is getting ready to deploy spot ETFs, and you're still sitting there sucking your thumb, wondering if Satoshi is a mermaid or a tulip.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, it's so great. It is so great. All right, guys, have a good day. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.
You also
Elmo, how was that? How do you feel?